Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Yes, I am in the exact same outfit as my previous video. I don't know how hectic things are gonna get, so I'm sitting down today and I'm making as many videos as I can just so that I can put something out there and that I'm not missing too many moments like these, especially with the information still pretty fresh in my mind. Good to sit down now. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Michelle Wilkinson. I am 23 years old. I'm currently doing a nursing degree and I have just had my first baby, a little boy. Yeah. So he's quite a noisy little guy. So if you hear little noises, that is him, but he is having a sleep at the moment. Don't want to put him down because he just fed and I know if I put him down, it's going to be a while till I get him back to sleep. So, my birth story. Picture this. It was the Saturday of the 12th of December. At about 6 o'clock I went for a shower to get ready and I noticed some mucus. I messaged my midwife and I told her what was happening and she said, oh, it's probably nothing. I thought it was my mucus plug, but she also said there's a lot of discharge when you are pregnant, so it might just be that. So we just need to see how I went. Had my maternity shoot. It was amazing. The photos came out so perfect. 7 o'clock, 7:30, we were done because it was so hot. But we also went down to Manjimup where they were having a cherry festival, so we were out the whole day. I was having a bit of cramps, but nothing too serious, nothing that I couldn't deal with, and I was still having that mucus. So yep, the end of the day I was still having some cramps. I went to bed, and now during this week I was also having some cold or flu type symptoms. I think I got it from having the fan and the aircon on at the same time. So I had really bad postnasal drip, which then turned into a dry cough. No, first a wet cough, then a dry cough. And when I'd sleep, my throat would dry out so much that I'd have a coughing attack. So it was just easier for me to be awake. I was so tired the week up until I actually gave birth, because I think I had about 4 hours of sleep every night. I just couldn't deal with the coughing. So Sunday morning came. It was 2 o'clock. I went to the toilet and I noticed there was a bit of blood. I didn't message my midwife immediately. I thought, let me give it a little while. And at 6 o'clock I started having some tightenings and they were pretty consistent, and when I went to the toilet there was still a bit of blood, but now this wasn't bright red blood. It was more pink in color and yeah, kind of dischargey, as well as some of the mucus. So I messaged my midwife again and I said, this is what's happening. They do say that if you are showing any signs of blood, or so they said, so I read that if you are having any blood that you should message your midwife or your doctors. So she told me that I should come to the hospital. Now I was still having these tightenings 5 minutes apart. We got ready and we headed to the hospital at about 8 o'clock. And she did some tests. They do a swab and they also open up to see if you're dilating. Yeah. And I tested lightly positive for something happening, such as something was occurring. The chemicals that were being produced by my cervix or my body was showing signs of something. I was still having tightening. She said, go home, just relax and see how you go. What's wrong? What's wrong? Yeah. 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 And the whole day I was having tightenings. They eventually spread further apart and were more 10 minutes apart. And yeah, I was fine. I was feeling okay. I couldn't really sleep because of my cough, and also they were a little bit sore. Went to the toilet and I noticed quite an intense pain in my back. I said to my mom and them, that one was actually really sore, and they had asked if they were getting worse. Now they weren't really getting worse or more intense, but that specific one was a little bit more sore than all the others. And I leaned over the table, and all I felt was a pop and a trickle of water down my legs. Oh, sorry. What's the matter? What's the matter? What's the matter? So I felt a trickle of water down my legs, and I said, oh no. They said, no, you're joking. I said, nope, my waters have just broken. So I phoned my midwife, and 5 minutes prior to that, I sent her a message saying I'm doing fine and everything's okay and still feeling good. I said, hi Leanne, my waters just broke. She said, oh my goodness, you're joking. I said, no, they're broken. So I quickly got ready. I had a shower. We were like mad chickens running around here trying to get organized, and ended up going to the hospital at 8 o'clock that evening. So that was the 13th of December. Now, we were joking. The whole day, we kept saying, what happens if he comes early? We should go home and sort out everything that we wanted to do. I had so many plans. I was going to go up to Perth. That's the next Saturday, for his heartbeat teddy bear that we had bought that was out of stock and was finally now back in stock. And you had to be up there for the recording and obviously in the womb for it. I was going to do a gender prediction old wives tales video. I was still supposed to do my 34 weeks, 35 weeks, the rest of my pregnancy updates. We were going to clean the carpets in the house. We were going to do Christmas shopping. We just had so much planned that this was a complete shock that this was happening. I did not do any sort of inducing labor early activities. I did not drink any sort of extra juices. I didn't take any dates. I had bought the raspberry leaf capsules and was to take them. Just they were coming, I think, the week after because they had it out of stock. So I had not done anything. I was planning on only doing something at about 38 weeks, 39 weeks, because this little guy was still supposed to be in the womb. So I was definitely not expecting it. So at the hospital, things were progressing really well. I had to have a cannula inserted into my arm, which was so painful. I had to look away. My husband watched the blood squirt out and almost passed out. They had me in a room which was super uncomfortable. My family couldn't really relax either, and the contractions started to really get intense. They were really close together, and this kind of went on for a couple of hours. They then moved me into the birthing suite. So after 11 hours, I was only 4 centimeters. Now, if I said that these contractions were painful, it's an understatement. It was the most excruciating pain I have ever felt in my whole entire life. I didn't even do anything with the water. I was supposed to have a shower, hopefully to kind of help with the pain. I was doing all the affirmation stuff that I learned from my birthing classes. I was doing all of the breathing, and nothing was helping. I tried gas and air. It just made me loopy and also horrible. I just felt like I wasn't in my body. I then had a morphine injection, which did nothing. I felt like it actually made it worse. And things were just getting so intense. Every time I had a contraction, I had my husband massage my back because it was the only thing that worked. And he was exhausted because he hadn't slept much. And my family laughed at me because every time I would be having a contraction, I'd say love or Rogan, and he'd say yes. And all I remember saying was, "You're supposed to know." And he says, "No, what? That I'm having a contraction. You should just know that I'm in pain when I call you." Because every time I'd call him, he'd say yes, and I'd have to tell him I'm having a contraction and that I'm in pain. And after 11 hours, I said, I can't do this anymore. I said, I need an epidural because I don't think I'm going to make it. I said, I am not strong enough and I started getting really emotional because I was really hoping to do it without any medication or any help. And yeah, I needed it. And my mom said, okay, well, we're gonna go home because now that you get that epidural, you can relax a little bit and maybe have a little bit of sleep. And she left. Took them an hour and a half for the anesthesiologist to come and actually put the epidural in. During those few minutes, I was in the most pain I've ever been in my whole life. I was crying. I was trying to do the breathing. Nothing was working. I was trying to get my mind right, and my husband was just an absolute sport. He was just so supportive. I don't know what I would have done without him. But my mom leaving was also the hardest thing for me because I needed them both. They were both such a amazing support system for me, that my mom was in the front holding my hand, so my husband was at the back rubbing the pain away. And these contractions were just so close together, and the anesthesiologist said, okay, you're gonna have to hunch over, and at one point you're not allowed to move. And I said, Rogan, I don't know what I'm gonna do because these contractions are so painful that I need to move during them to kind of help alleviate the pain. Oh, I was praying so hard when he had me over. All I remember saying is, please God, just help me get through this. It felt like the longest few minutes of my life. How I survived, I have no idea. Once the epidural was in and actually started working, I felt amazing. I just relaxed so much. Yes, I just relaxed. I just relaxed so much and tried to have a sleep. My stupid machine monitor thing was going off every 2 seconds, beeping. So I did not rest. I was sick, coughing. I was not feeling great. My husband also tried to have a sleep, but because the monitors were going off as well, he did not rest either. So this went on for a couple of hours, and after 4 hours with an epidural, I dilated to 7 centimeters. No, I dilated to 8 centimeters. So then they did oxytocin to kind of get me going a little bit further, just to dilate those last 2. I was amazed at how much ability I had over my legs. I was able to get on all fours to try and get Camden to descend to my pelvis. I then started shaking. So I know that's a side effect of the epidural. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So I then started shaking, and I ended up getting a really high fever. So they had to pump me with 2 lots of antibiotics. Because my waters had broken, there's a risk of infection. So they were pumping me with antibiotics to prevent Camden from getting sick as well. Now, I probably had the shakes for about an hour. And then they put me in the throne position and said, okay, you're 10 centimeters, you can start pushing. And I was so uncomfortable in that position. I really felt like I wasn't doing anything. And that was an hour of pushing. And the doctor said, if you don't push this baby out in the next few minutes, we're going to have to put you on the stirrups and actually pull him out. I didn't hear that. I was just focusing on my midwife, her telling me to change positions. So I got up on all fours and I was leaning over the bed, and the pushing just felt a lot better, and I could actually feel those urges to push. So although I had the epidural, I had pain in my back here as well as in the front. So I felt those urges to push, and it was 10 minutes and I pushed him out. Once his head was out, they allowed me to turn back over and kind of grab him. So when he came out, he was obviously on his back, and he just plonked out. His eyes were wide open, and My husband was supposed to be the one to say what he or she would have been, but he came out kind of like spread out, and I couldn't help but say, oh my gosh, it's a boy. And they put him on my chest, and I don't think I've ever felt love like that in my whole entire life. My husband was sobbing. Sadly, we didn't have a recording of the actual birth. There was just so much going on that my mom was focused on me, my husband was focused on me, that no one was actually just, you know, taking any videos. He took some photos. They weren't the best, but I have the memories, and I think that's what's really important. And our hospital is really strict anyway in terms of that, so I don't have a video to show that. All I have is the story of what actually happened. We then tried to have him latch on, and it wasn't the greatest feed, but there was so much going on. They had injected me. Within 5 minutes my placenta was out. They did a delayed cord clamping, and once that was cut, they took him and they did a whole bunch of observations on him. Because he was early, they were worried about his breathing, but Camden came out perfect. He did not need any help with anything. I just think he was just so ready for this world that he didn't want to wait any longer. And I do think that if he was in there longer, he would have been a really big baby. I think he would have easily been 4 kilograms, and I think he would have been really long, because he is quite a big boy now. He's got really big feet and big hands. And yeah, I can't wait to do it all again. I know it's crazy, but once I had him, I thought I can do this again, and I really can't wait to do it again. And now he's here, and it has been a really full-on couple of weeks, and yeah, that's pretty much my labor and birth story. It's not the most exciting. I know a lot of people have videos, which is a lot nicer to watch, but that is my story about how we brought this little guy into the world, and how happy that he is here, and how he was definitely the best thing of 2020 for us. And we're really excited for 2021 and to see what this year will bring us. Okay? Yeah. So that is all for today's video, and we will see you in the next. Bye.